included, we are returning to an activity that's been reprised from the Destiny 1 days.
Absolutely.
Noah, can you tell us what we're getting into here?
You know, you said returning. I'd like to say this activity was reimagined.
Yeah.
Instead of it being the Prison of Elders from Destiny 1, this is now a Tomb of Elders. This activity specifically is Contest of Elders, actually. Now, I'm going to want the fire team to hold up a little bit because I want to describe it a little bit for the audience.
Excellent.
So if those who are familiar with things like Deep Dives or The Coil and Riven's Lair from Season 23, this is a similar kind of activity where it's a longer tail, more roguelite activity. One of our design tenets was we wanted to make it as variable as possible. And we'll go into a lot of what makes it as variable as it is. But in general, it follows a lot of the beats from Prison of Elders and Destiny 1, which is, you know, you go to arenas, complete encounters, and all this while the spooky, scary warden is kind of in your ear, kind of egging you on.
Yeah.
Instead of it being Varix, it's the warden servitor.
Yeah.
And players are trying to placate this warden rather than like rebel against him. So the more you do that he says, you'll actually get more loot, and we'll go into that a little bit more in the future.
Excellent. A lot of chances to test out your Varix impressions, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we'll hear a little.
Oh, yeah. Give it time. We'll get there. Absolutely. All right. So let's go ahead and kick things off. So with this, was it basically just bringing back kind of the activity from Destiny 1, same races, same bosses, and everything, or what were you guys trying to do?
We wanted to. I think the key that I was really excited about was I had a rule which was, we want to keep the best parts of Prison of Elders that people love, the most iconic aspects. So, you know, things like dismantle mines. We might have some fan favorite Taken bosses and other bosses that people remember. But the main thing was being able to modernize it to not only the new Destiny sandbox that we have, but just the new vibe. We're in a vampire hunter season. Why not go back to the derelict Prison of Elders and hunt more vampires? And like you said about factions, in the old Prison of Elders, it was the Fallen, the Cabal, the Hive, the Vex. We don't have the Vex anymore. Instead, it's the Dread now, being led by some Taken forces.
Very cool.
Instead of the regular Cabal, we have the Shadow Legion. Instead of normal Hive, we have the Lucent Hive, and we have the Revenant Scorn instead of the Fallen. So we kind of changed up all the races, and you'll be able to see it's really apparent when you go to their arenas since they're all themed based on the races.
Yeah. So I'm going to bug you about bosses soon, but can you tell us just a little bit about what we're seeing here, whether it's the modifiers or anything like that? I noticed there's obviously a lot of chances to test your skill here against the modifiers you guys have put in.
Oh, yeah. So we, for those who are familiar with the Legacy Prison of Elders, there were a bunch of modifiers that were on a rotation. Some were kind of beneficial, like Solar Burn, where it was like the enemies give you damage, but you can kind of deal some. And this, all of them are not beneficial to you. And actually, as a quick segue, we saw Urrox there. He was an old Destiny 1 Prison of Elders boss, a legacy boss. And he's come back as a Lucent Hive Guardian, and we had some other few bosses who have come back from the grave.
I mean, given that he's no longer just a Hive Knight, he's got both the big shields and everything. He's ready to go ahead and be brought back with the power of the light.
And that's what just
some new challenges.
We have some UI too that we were able to bring back from the Legacy Prison of Elders. Every time you get a new modifier, it appears on the screen in the middle of the screen, and you're able to be like, oh, it's Chill Touch or it's Counterfeit. Because we have some of the new modifiers that were in Episode Revenant that are in here. We got Counterfeit. We got Haste. We got Brawn, if people have had experience with that, and a few other things like Chill Touch, Scrapper. Grounded, a few other things that kind of rotate around.
A lot of opportunities to get good.
Opportunities to run around, grab your ammo, and then turn out it's a bomb. Oops.
I love that one. That's one of my favorite perks, actually.
That never happens to me all the time. No, all right.
It's really nice that it pops up.
Yeah, Chill Touch right there.
I want to shout out. Shout out our engineering team for being able to bring this in, and our UI team for kind of everyone came together and had a strike force so that we could bring this back. It was no small feat, but I'm glad it works, as we intended it to.
No, we appreciate it. As someone who intends to spend a ridiculous amount of time in here, thank you, and yours for your hard work.
Absolutely. I kind of wanted to talk about one more thing in terms of how this activity is structured. I'd say it's very close to Riven's Lair. For those who remembered, Riven's Lair, you kind of had a trap room, then an encounter, then another trap room, then a boss. And this is slightly more action-focused, so we have, as we saw, that cryopod encounter first. Then you'll have a faction encounter. It'll take you to a random arena throughout the prison. It's still shaped like the spokes, like in the original Prison of Elders. Then you'll have a short traversal section. and then you'll have a boss. And then after that, you will get pulled into the warden's office and get your loot, and then you'll run around the loop again.
Yeah.
In every single encounter, you're going to have a challenge, and for bosses specifically, you're going to have a critical objective. And that kind of all goes into like this in-activity reputation system that's called the Warden's Judgment. When you read the rules, for all my players who like to read, you can see what that is, but I know people don't read, so I'm going to try to explain it the best I can.
Why were you staring right at me when you said that? That's so weird.
I don't read either.
Okay.
I mean,
all right,
I literally will look at it and I'll be like, I don't care.
I'll figure
Launch.
Yeah.
So the Warden's Judgment is a pretty simple but kind of complicated mechanic we have that's meant to address some of the feedback that we've gotten from the coils specifically. So for those who are very experienced with that activity, people were very much questioning how do you get to the wish chamber, like how many wishing glass you need to get, like if you felt like you didn't get the loot goblin, you were like, oh, I didn't get the wish chamber. We found out statistically that most people had already surpassed the threshold they need to get to the wish chamber, but it just missing out things felt bad, and it initially kind of like hampers your desire to keep going because you might be like, well, I don't want to get to the very end and see if I didn't get to it.
Right. Yeah.
So to address that, the Warden's Judgment is kind of like a inactivity way to check how well you're doing. There will be a buff on the top of your screen, and it'll kind of dictate how well you're doing. So when you complete a challenge or a bonus objective, your Warden's Judgment will increase. It can get all the way up to favor times 1 to 3. If you do not complete the objective within the time limit, you will go down a level. And if you're in Warden's Punishment, the activity gets a little bit easier. We have less elites, less mini bosses, and our high value targets that are called model prisoners will be elites, and they give you a revive token on death.
Okay.
But the better you do, we have more things that are going to try to hamper you. We'll have traps in the arena. We'll have increased mini bosses, and when you're at favor times 3, the ultimate test, because you want to stay at that the whole time for max rewards. Your bonus objective time limits will be reduced by around 30%.
Okay.
So some things may take, maybe you have 2.5 minutes to complete something, and then it becomes 2 minutes. Or you have a minute and 30 seconds, and maybe it becomes just a minute. It gets a little bit tougher. Exactly. But that's kind of the core about this activity that makes it cool. People say that these activities kind of take a long time. Sometimes you have 40, 50, maybe 60-minute activities. The better you do, the warden can actually allow you to skip an encounter. And we've had in playtests, we've had runs that can last 28 minutes, 30 minutes, and that's when you're getting the most rewards. So this is kind of promoting, like, maybe you'll get bad luck and have some bad encounters, but the more you run it, you'll get more experience, you'll understand kind of how the flow is, and you'll be able to get a lot of rewards really fast and kind of experience the whole Prison of Elders in this new light. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
build into it a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, on one hand, to the community, what was that again? 28 minutes, you said?
28.
All right. When it comes out next week, the issue
They'll
has been
blow past
challenged.
that. They'll blow past
No, I'm sure, but still, it's best to issue a
Wait for
challenge.
the solo run, too.
Yeah,
It's
If
like,
you
I
get-
did this in
If
15
you can
minutes.
solo in under 28 minutes, I will give you a title that I bestowed of very few people. You will be that guy, and I will at you on Twitter or something.
All right, well,
Not in game. That's gonna
Not in game, not in game,
Yeah,
not in
this
game.
is just like a imaginary title.
Yeah,
Well,
I made that up just now. Sorry.
He'll say it on Twitter. Blazing
On Twitter.
Muffins will give you a shout out on Twitter. But no, so it's kind of
This
nice
is
to have
why
the
I'm
opportunity to sort of, I guess, if you're learning the activities, if you're kind of just, getting beaten down a little bit, you have a chance to build yourself up a bit, kind of get a sense of the battle arena, the mechanics in place. That way, as you kind of build yourself up that higher warden's favor, there
Fire Team's
are.
actually showing one of my favorite features, which
Please.
we tried to give every boss a cool intro. So this boss descends in from a thresher from the ceiling. So every enemy race has their own kind of mechanic. So the Hive, generally their mechanics revolve around portals in the arena. The Cabal are all about getting these explosive charges and blowing up things that are like immune. We'll see the Dreads in a second, but the Scorns are about like getting these explosive canisters and kind of making a makeshift explosive. Internally, I like to call it the junkyard fantasy because like it's kind of like all junky and rusted and stuff.
Tinkering and putting it together.
You put it together, and then it makes this really cool. Shout out Mikola for doing this. He also made Liminality Strike, so shout out to him. He made a really cool thing where like you see the explosion trail like kind of get to the big explosive.
Like a fuse.
Yes, it's so cool.
No, I have to ask, why did it have to be a Thresher? Because I'm having some memories from Neo Muna. This is scaring me already.
Well, Threshers are cool, and it's just, it's cool to have different boss silhouettes in Destiny. We don't often actually fight a Thresher as a boss, and the Thresher's not even the true boss, as we see a Scion and his Scion goons are the actual main bosses for this fleet. So this is like kind of the quasi mechanic there, where it's like, you start off, you gotta kill the Thresher, and then, it's gone. we got like one of those Russian dolls and a bunch of scions pop out, and you gotta deal with them now.
I imagine just that the unstoppable Thresher meme basically just popping up again,
no.
right? Yeah. So I mean, I gotta ask as well. Like, this is an opportunity to kind of bring back this activity from Destiny 1 to kind of look at what was best about it.
We got something actually cool to show right here. Also.
Please, dive in.
So. Players are probably very much like, why is the screen green?
Fair.
So critical objectives have been massively increased in like complexity, I believe.
Yeah.
So every time a boss starts, there's just a timer ticking down that we're not showing you, and then a critical objective will spawn. If you complete them or fail them, your Warden's Judgment will react accordingly. But what we ask you to do for these critical objectives are much more dangerous than like our normal stuff, which is like maybe get kills with abilities, get kills with the Scorch Cannon. This one is a certain level and below, all of it will be poison gas that does damage to you over time.
Yeah.
And the only way to turn it off is you have to turn off the switches that are also in the poison gas. So the Warden servitor will be like, warning, poison gas, or whatever. And when you come in, and it's
You've
like, oh,
done that before. All right.
Yes,
That's
all the time.
Yeah.
I've been at home just like by myself, just doing a Varix impression, like to like nothing, and I'm like,
That's how I'm going to talk to my cat exclusively
exactly.
now. I can just tell.
I think he'll get a little scared though.
It's okay. He has to exist around me anyway. He's well prepared.
I just think of insect like chattering in the
Yeah.
subtitles. That's all I got in my brain.
Chittering, chattering. I don't know.
And we see the
insect
Warden's office. So that's what I call. That's not what it's called.
Please, the
but that's what I like
principal's
to call it.
office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time you complete a boss, you will get pulled to this chamber where the Warden will reward you based on how well you've done. This
Yeah.
fire team has done very well. So they get 3 chests, and you get a rally banner that allows you to like kind of refresh your super and ammo and stuff
Yeah.
before the next round.
Yeah.
And as we saw, we have like judgment, calculating, punishment protocol, averted. If you're in the Warden's punishment while he's judging you in this like kind of Monopoly style like mini game, a punishment will happen. I don't want to spoil what that is, but I think it'll be very smart. But as we see, they were able to skip the cryopod encounter. If you were like at a neutral or below, you would have to do that cryopod encounter again. But our fire team is good enough to skip it. So if you keep that momentum, you're able to skip that encounter every single time and kind of go through the prison much faster than you would normally.
Yeah. All right, really quickly, also, please feel free to keep jumping back in. I know there's a lot of stuff we're going to be checking out, but Taylor, I want to quickly bug you.
Yeah.
With the arrival of Act 2, we're going to have a few new weapons being added to the overall loot pool. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the new act weapons, rather, that we're going to be having available to us?
Yeah, sure. So we have like 2 new seasonal weapons or act weapons.
Got the SMG and the shotgun.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
There's an Arc Precision SMG, and then there's a
Attrition orbs, right?
Yeah, attrition orb. Yeah, it's got a bunch of perk rolls on it, which we'll get to in a second. And then a Void Precision shotgun, which has some Dust Rock blue jeans. If you,
Very nice.
Eugene.
yeah,
Very.
if you, we'll probably see the model in a few minutes. But
Yeah.
the resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool rolls for both of these, both for PvE and PvP.
Let's take a quick look.
So this one's got the new Arc perk, Jolting Feedback. It's also got Loose Change, Attrition Orbs, and a few other things that really synergize pretty well. You can get like the Jolt on and then Loose Change procs.
Yeah.
And it just loops into itself.
Yeah.
And then the Shotgun, it's got a bunch of rolls both for PvE and PvP. You can get Slide Shot closing time. You can get Discord destabilizing rounds, and with the shotgun changes that we did in this release, it will probably serve you pretty well.
Yeah. Having dusted off my 7th Seraph CQC, I want to say thank you for those
classic.
changes, honestly. Yeah, never gets old.
It's nice how such a small change can actually make a pretty big difference.
Yeah,
Especially when it's
seriously.
not even more damage.
Yeah. Also, with regard to the new shotgun, obviously PvP or PvE rather is going to get some nice buffs. You were saying the repulsor brace, volatile rounds.
Yep.
I accept those. But at any rate, there was a PvP role you were talking about earlier as well. Like, it's going to have a lot of versatility in the same.
Oh yeah,
box.
it's got a lot of rolls, and it's precision frames, so I know it's like the most popular right now for PvP.
Yeah, I've been getting killed by those a lot these days. So in addition to these 2 new act weapons getting added to the pool, there's also one of the reprised ones as well that I'm personally pretty excited about from Season of the Splicer coming back, Grid Skipper.
Yes.
Grid
Mike,
skip.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, I have a very personal connection to this gun, so it was like one of my favorite things. I actually helped work on the original set of these when they first came out. But I did the rolls on these.
Let's take a quick
It's
look.
got some classics from the past, but also some new rolls. Also, it's got a lot of options for both PvE and PvP. Get some Zen Moment Headseeker for PvP, probably pretty nice.
That's what I'm going to be going for.
My original classic role was Killing Wind multi-kill clip, which with the new Splice Origin will work pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm a compulsive reloader myself, so manning the pulse and getting that Splicer Surge going after a couple kills, it pretty much like negates the major downside of the rapid fire pulses of being like pretty low handling and reload baseline.
That was the role you talked about in the TWID, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Of all the people, you chose the legendary weapon instead.
Yeah. So
for
in the
context,
past, talking about if you could have one weapon made a replica, what would you want? A bunch of other people said exotic, and I was the guy that said grid skipper.
I mean, it's a great answer.
Correct choice.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. There's no wrong choice in theirs, but yours was very correct. Let's be very clear.
A couple new PvE roles as well. But, there's a lot to look forward to. I'm going to be grinding this a lot.
Yeah.
I want to interject real quick because we were at a good time.
Yeah.
So this is the fire team went through it earlier, but this is a traversal section. So these are different than how they were in the coil. I also want to shout out every player who died to my spike traps in the coil. I did that on purpose.
How dare
I don't
you.
feel bad.
There's a lot of grudges being built in chat right now in real time. It's,
I don't feel bad.
You're like an evil DM, honestly. It's so.
It's fun. I don't think it's not fun to them.
You're
It's fun to
burning
me.
at like 2 a.m. and it's me screaming at my ceiling, Noah, why did you do that?
Exactly. I
just-
see all the comments and I'm like.
He just smiles. Yeah, he just feels bad. Warms up his coffee. Yeah.
These are these are much shorter than they were in the coil, but their goal is in Contest of Elders specifically, not Tomb of Elders, which is like one lap.
Yeah.
These have their own challenges that players have to complete. So for this one, it was kill every enemy, defeat every enemy that's there. There are some that's like collect a bunch of like fallen lights. I can't remember what they're called. Yeah. They're like energy signals, or like defeat a boss within a certain amount of time. So it's just more things to kind of challenge you and make these, transitionary spaces a little bit more interesting. And so we have like the piece de resistance right here. My son, everyone will be very excited to see this. This is one of my favorite intros.
The grand reveal. Yeah, let's see
Exactly.
here. And you were saying the Dread and the Taken are working
The
together
Defile.
in this one, right?
I'd say the Taken are kind of taking the helm of the Dread right now, not because like they're stronger or anything, but because like Psylocke is just more experienced with the prison. I feel like
honestly.
he's he was a model inmate.
Yeah.
So they were like, we're asking from the best. All the warden likes him.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. He was always available for work after hours. He was hanging out in the library, reading up on the law, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing his
Yeah.
community service, all the works.
So what's the mechanic we're seeing at play here as well, by the way?
So this mechanic is a bad pun. So for everyone who loves Rift or really has even played Excision, instead of Spark Runner buff, it is Dark Runner, where you're picking up splinters. You're picking up darkness splinters that give you stacks of Dark Runner up to like ×3, where it'll say like Dark Runner max. And then you dunk them in a Rift. And it changes based on like the encounter. For the normal Dread encounter, just something different. But in this, Psylocke will have a
another,
shield.
Different objective. It's happening right now too.
Oh yeah, we got the Rifleman is a critical objective, and the thing with that is there will be clones of the Rifleman that spawn around the arena.
Yeah.
You have to find the real one, but the clone's damage is real too. So
Yeah.
you got to make sure that you're not in their line of sight.
Yeah.
All these critical objectives are meant to be pretty tough.
Yeah, they're not supposed to go easy on you.
Yeah, I mean they're
not called-
critical.
It's not the Sandbox of Elders, it's the Tomb,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, thank you.
They die.
Love and how
Yeah.
dynamic all this is too, because even like through our practice runs and all that, we've seen a bunch of different modifiers and different objectives
Yeah.
pop up.
This is if I was to describe what design's goal was for this in one word,
Yeah.
it would be variable. There's so much that can change from a given run. Is really trying to embody roguelite to like its fullest. You'll have different pathways every
Yeah.
time, which is like you'll go to different cell blocks in different orders.
Yeah.
You'll have different objectives that'll pop up, different critical objectives, and you'll have different modifiers and like all this stuff. And based on how well you do, the dynamic, like enemies are harder or easier based on how well you do. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and I hope players can like. I'm looking at Dado and Astacross, make a good guide for this.
Yeah.
Because this is a big one. But
Yeah.
I think that the more people play, they'll kind of understand the mode a lot more. And there's a lot to offer, I think. And we're not going to show the treasure chamber, unfortunately, but that's kind of the whole thesis. We want everyone to get to that treasure chamber and feel like however they played, they can get paid out based on how well they did.
Definitely.
And my goal was, even if you're at the worst level, if you're at Warden's Punishment ×3, you're able to get to the max rewards in one lap.
Yeah. Just might take you a little bit longer.
Yeah,
might
you
be
just
a
have
little
to
more
be kind of
stress.
dialed in.
Yeah.
It'll be the phrasing of like, oh, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Exactly.
You got to earn these rewards.
You got to say it in a Varric's voice though too.
Oh, I'm not.
Right, we'll get
Warden
back
has
to that.
so many lines. I want to shout out Olivia on narrative for writing all the lines.
Yeah.
He has, I think, like, I don't even know. I'm not going to like make a number up right now, but he has a bunch, and they
lot, yeah.
range from being, I'm very proud of you, to like, come on, man, you got to do a little better than that.
Yeah,
it kind of
honestly.
pushes you to kind of just want to make him proud.
Yeah,
because
he's not mad. He's just disappointed.
Yep,
right?
disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. Dylan is the father here. He's used to saying that to me.
I don't use the slang like you do.
That's it. I mean, I got that Skibbity Ohio riz, unfortunately. But
What was that?
moving right along. Actually, while we have a second here, Taylor, I wanted to go ahead back to you.
Yeah.
Actually, we've got some new artifact mods joining this time around as well. Do you mind if we take a look and kind of walk through and see what we got here?
Yeah. So we've got like the last episode. Sorry. We have a new row unlocking in Act 2. These are all close quarters themed. So we've got a discount for all your melee mods, an improvement to emergency reinforcements, which I think is like you get a heal when you're low health. Got a way to get armor charge while you're surrounded. The boost there gives you more weapon handling and charge rate for swords.
And the boost comes from tonics, right?
Yeah. So there'll be new tonics.
Nice.
This, I think, is a variant of one of the older mods that is when you break a combatant shield, you get an orb of power. And then the boost on this actually is going to be really nice, which is picking up an orb of power or elemental pickup or tangle. Gives you a bit of health, which kind of replicates the leg armor mods, which you can like run both, or this can free you up a slot with that. I know like I'm running Stasis Hunter with the new helmet, and that's going to be pretty good for that.
Yeah.
And also just for staying alive in this activity, since it's kind of spicy.
Someone who's been a very punchy punch hunter these days with my Rorschach build, as I call it.
Yep.
Those there's a lot of mods in this row that I'm really looking forward to having.
Tomb of Elders activities are very claustrophobic. I think shotguns in close range is definitely going to be king here.
I can't wait.
And we got
What's the buzzword? Enemy density.
Yeah.
Yes, the density in Destiny is just getting there.
And then arc compounding, which I believe was maybe in an older artifact, which is arc sources deal more damage to blinded targets, which might actually pair really well with the changes that got done to Exteris, since the moths there will be applying the blind for yourself, and then also it's a grenade launcher, so it kind of gets to double dip with all the grenade launcher mods in this.
And to that end as well, quickly for anyone who may not read through every patch note necessarily, quick update, what were the changes you guys made to Exteris?
Yeah, we did some QL stuff, get a little bit more ammo, but the main thing was
Set of ghosts. So we got your Cammy, Ryu, your Chun-Li. I wouldn't want my ghost to get into a fist fight with the with any of the bosses really, but that one looks like they could take.
The Ryu one's pretty swole.
One class that gets this. It's going to be Universal Ornament. The helmet goes on all characters, Hunter, Titan, Warlock, which is going to be great. And then with the roaming super changes, like you can throw on your Titan Arc Super, you can throw on Storm Trance, and go and kind of role play with some of that electricity, right?
Yeah, honestly, just really live up that fantasy of being Blanca after all this time. Maybe not as swole as him necessarily, but still, it's a step in the right direction.
Speak for yourself, Andy.
Okay, stop. All right.
Yeah,
we all know, Noah, that you're just way cooler than all of us. Okay, stop rubbing it in.
As long as we know.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, great.
So,
Yeah,
great. So there are also 3 finishers. You might have seen those sprinkled in through the gameplay. Lightning Kick, Spinning Bird, Hadouken. I can't do that.
What are you doing over here, Dylan? Thank you.
Was
There it
my
is.
attempt worse than the joke, or?
Significantly
We'll
better.
leave the comments.
Yeah.
Significantly better. Yeah.
And then we got some emotes that we can show off too, which are a pretty good time.
Yeah. Let's see here. We'll see what we can see here. If gameplay's on screen, anyway.
There we go.
There we go. Yes. All right. So we've got some emotes to show off as well. Let's start with the group emote here.
This one's
I love
Time to
head
fight.
man.
The health bars are so good.
And winner. God. And then we got a bonus round.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
Yeah. It's not exactly a Honda Civic, but it's just as much fun to go ahead and beat
I
up.
want to do a shout out to every Guardian in the Tower, 1997 Honda Civic Adept. I see you. I love you.
It's an important role to play, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. This is going to be my new Trials intro. I can already tell.
Right.
Honestly.
And then we actually have a segue on screen already with the armor that has been adorned.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and just rotate over there. With the arrival as well of this act, the Dawning is going to be making its return as well on December 10th, I believe.
Let me check my notes. Yes, December 10th. Yeah, 10 a.m. right at reset. We'll have the Dawning coming back. The wonderful theme for our armor is going to be a celestial space dragon, which is really great. And then the team did a bunch of really good work on
so nice.
shader application. We've seen your feedback tons of times on, hey, I want my shaders to look pretty on all the armor that I'm getting.
Yeah.
this knocks it out of the park, especially with that celestial star map in the wings. So
Yeah.
each class is going to get their dragon on. It's going to be a great time. These armor sets you can get for silver or bright dust. So if you've been doing all your Pathfinders, shout out to the team on the Pathfinder changes in the last episode launch.
Yeah,
Lots of
made a
bright
huge
dust,
difference.
so you can get these armors pretty quick. And then donning, we're going to have your favorite cookie baking activities coming back, going around to all of your different vendors, giving them nice treats, giving some raisins to Eris, that kind of stuff.
Right.
There have been a couple of quality of life changes that I want to call out from the team. Let's see, dark frosting. So it's not just going to be stasis anymore. Both of your darkness subclasses, strand and stasis, are going to make that easier. And then for every guardian out there that's been saying, hey, this specific ingredient is not dropping for me. There's already actually a pretty spicy roll on the screen right now. So on the left column, internally we call it box weaken.
Like box breathing.
What's the actual?
Withering gaze.
Withering gaze. So aim down sights for a bit, and then you
left
can.
column specifically.
Oh, sorry,
is
left.
really nice.
You can weaken your targets, and then in the right column, bait and switch. So amp up your damage, weaken your target. That's actually going to be a pretty spicy roll. Vice Stinger 2 to get a bunch of your ammo back. But if you're actually worried about ammo, Envious Arsenal, it's one of the hottest perks of this season, or of this episode. Sorry, this act. Those are going to pair really well in this linear that's coming out.
Bait and switch has become the darling
swap
child of my heavy ammo slot, honestly, so I'm excited to see this. Also, I think we were talking earlier, after being such big fans of Stormcaller, seeing another adaptive burst linear fusion rifle on the map was pretty exciting, honestly.
Storm
Chaser, thank you, Storm Chaser, my mistake.
Yeah, shout
That
out
was a
to
test, you passed.
Storm-themed content. In that game, if you haven't noticed.
one of my buddies out in Midwest. He actually does some storm chasing as a hobby, so he was like, I need that gun. Love you, Butane.
I remember that, yeah.
And then outside of the new weapon, there are going to be a bunch of reprised weapons with new roles. So your fusion rifle, pulse rifle, glaive, sword, and the machine gun. Big shout out to Lego LaFlash. He's my go-to content creator for fusion rifle rolls and Glacioclasm. You may see it in the Crucible, may shake your fist at it a couple times, but there are going to be some more rolls.
After seeing you in that Bungie Foundation stream, just mopping the floor with people with fusions, I fully expect this to be added into your
Full-on
inventory as
dad loadout,
possible.
man. Pulse rifle, fusion rifle, let's go.
Nothing wrong with
Monster.
it.
We can't be friends anymore.
I mean, on Glacioclasm, there's going to be Lone Wolf closing time. So push out that range, tighten up that cone. It's going to be great.
Stop it right now. You're
probably
giving everyone
cringing.
ideas,
No,
Dylan.
but-
Okay?
Sorry, what was that?
It's tough enough to get to the lighthouse these days. You're giving everyone ideas, all right?
Yeah, I hope they come in and ruin my day. It makes for great clips. And I mean, so strange coins are actually going to be added to the Dawning gifts as well.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
with Festival of the Lost, you could get the exotic class items with candy and that kind of stuff. With Dawning, you're going to get higher drop rate of those strange coins from giving out those gifts, and then you can go to Zur. You can get your exotic class items or the Zerf board actually too.
Oh, nice. So
it's not necessarily a catch-up mechanic, but we know, hey, you might not be going into Strikes or Crucible and earning strange coins, so we're trying to spread the love a bit.
Nice.
So-
We'll get what we deserve.
I keep setting
Good.
you up
Yeah.
for these, and then I just regret.
No, thank you. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll do you a solid. Set you up for one. We have one more cool little thing actually. There's a new fashion set that's being added to Act 2 as well. The players have been pretty excited about it. They may have caught wind of it, but can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here, Dylan?
So, by the power of the moon, the team has done absolute beautiful work on some Doki Doki Destiny sets. We got your Warlock and your Titan there, showing off their fashion, pondering an orb, if you will. But I mean, this has been a set long time coming. We hope players enjoy throwing on some bows, some ribbons, and just having a fun time in fashion. If you want to go super black and be gothic cutesy set, that's going to be...
It's a great time for that, honestly.
Yeah, right.
This is available through Silver.
This is going to be Silver and Bright Dust.
And
so
Bright Dust,
again,
okay.
Yeah, if you're going in doing your Pathfinders, all that kind of stuff, it'll be available in the Eververse for Bright Dust or Silver.
Could be a good
Live
time.
your best fashion life.
Right.
Can't
Fashion is the true end game.
Destiny. Now, the name of the quest we're not going to spoil for you because it has some story implications. But Taylor, I'd love to put you on the spot real quick. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here?
Yes, this is Slayer's Fang. It's a pretty unique slug shotgun where it fires a single slug round that once it impacts a target or a surface like environment, the slug shatters in a bunch of secondary projectiles. And then once you get a kill, you get True Sight for a short period of time, and then the shattered projectiles will weaken targets that they hit, and they get a bit smarter with their tracking.
Very nice.
It's also got a pretty unique reload
Yeah.
for a
You putting
shotgun.
a crystal in that?
Yeah, it's like a small void crystal. Like I think the theme is like the projectiles are like hitting surface and they shatter into bits.
We went down as a squad of 9. We're turned into void crystals and are now in an exotic weapon.
Hey, I mean, we turn gods
Turn
into
everything and
guns,
everyone
yeah.
into weapons around here.
Here
obviously.
comes guns or bullets or
Yeah.
something.
A worm.
But,
A very sassy worm
Yeah,
at that, but-
also fully reloads the gun with the reload.
I was gonna ask.
It's not shell by shell.
Yeah, was it the whole? So it's the whole magazine up front, not necessarily. Okay. I'm already mentally trying to build this into as many loadouts as I possibly can.
yeah.
if I'm being
Your Falcon? Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
curious if no backup plans Titans might happen.
Well, they will now. Jeez.
Yeah. Also benefits from the shotgun changes that happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually,
Honestly.
like reasonable range to use this.
Is
Yeah.
it craftable?
Yes. Yeah. So like kind of the past couple quests we've done with this, like Choir 1, etc. Be a bunch of things to do in the activity, intrinsic levels to unlock, and a handful of catalysts that have some interesting interactions with how the gun works itself.
Very nice. All right, so the theory crafters in the audience are going to have plenty to sink their teeth into.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a few other maybe secret things to do.
Maybe secret things.